Xiang wiped his sweat. When Chu Hongqing saw this, he also quickly helped him wipe his sweat. Hongqing, how many jade monies do you think I can sell these 5 pills for? Xiang asked. This is a light gold crystal pill. Selling it for 50,000 is not a problem. Chu Hongqing said. But you should just eat by yourself. Xiang nodded his head. Then I shall go into closed-door cultivation for a while. After he finished speaking, he entered a secret room and ate the pill that he had just refined. 5 days later, Xiang refined all of the medicinal powers of the pellets. What he did not expect was that these 5 pellets actually allowed him to condense 9 azure dragon bones. The azure dragon inside the second divine sensei was already filled with bones, and his fleshly body had also risen by a lot. In addition to the bones that the azure dragon has just condensed, the flames that I have released are even stronger. If not for the help of the Chuangshi God Furnace, my previous flames would not have been able to refine high-grade heaven-ranked Yaogadan. Was extremely excited. He felt that he would need to cultivate in a Dao body soon. When I finish cultivating the Dao body, I will go back to look for Qilian and the others. Xiang had already understood that the forest where the great heaven star was located was a deathly still place. The barbaric beasts would not go, nor would they grow medicinal herbs. Walking out of the secret room, Xiang shouted, Hongqing! She's not here. Xiang frowned. He then looked around the room and the hall, but he did not find Hongqing. When he was outside, he could smell the aroma of the wine and knew that Yu Yan was drinking again. Younger brother Shin, you've finally come out from closed-door cultivation. Yu Yan laughed. Quickly come over and drink a few bowls. I've only been in closed-door cultivation for 5 days, right? What do you mean finally? Xiang laughed. He walked over and drank a big bowl. Have you seen my servant girl? She has returned to the Fire Reverend School. The Fire Reverend School is hosting a grand gathering for the Heavenly Dao sect. And as the goddess of the Fire Reverend School, how can she not return? It was Fire Reverend School leader who came to call her. As Yu Yan spoke, his expression became serious. Bro, you might be in trouble. Fire Reverend School leader is very dissatisfied with you taking the spirit demon woman as your slave. You need to be careful. I will pay attention. Xiang nodded. Then what's the Heavenly Dao sect gathering? It's just a bunch of guys showing off. What's wrong? Are you interested? Yu Yan's eyes lit up and he laughed. You are so good at refining pills. Then maybe you will be able to shine there, which is good for you. Tell me about this gathering. Xiang laughed. I still prefer to join in on the fun. It's a group of powerful sects and families gathering together to compare. However, little brother, your current power is still a bit off from being able to cultivate a Dao body. Yu Yan said, it's already too late. There's still 3 months of time. Why can't I return in time? Xiang laughed. I have complete time. Right. How do I contact my young maid? She said she would come every few days. You just wait patiently. Don't go look for her in the Fire Reverend School right now. Those fellows from the Fire Reverend School have been bewitched by this witch to the point of having their divine soul turned upside down. When they found out that you took her as your slave, they couldn't help but want to tear you into pieces. Yu Yan laughed. Right now, there are many young masters who want to see you. They should be trying to curry favor with you. I'm too lazy to see them, Xiang said with a smile, and then took another sip of the wine. Brother Yu, in this world, are Fire Reverend School's leader the strongest? Xiang asked. If it is in the Fire Tao Divine Place's eyes, he is considered stronger. However, I am also not sure just how big this world is. Although there are many powerful sects and ancient families in this region, outside of this region, Fire Reverend School leader is probably not even worth a fart. Yu Yan said, of course, we might not leave this area for the rest of our lives, and we don't have the ability to. Xiang was shocked. He never thought that this big chaotic times would actually be so vast. Even Yu Yan felt that he was unable to leave this area. Xiang suddenly felt that Yu Yan and the others did not know about the existence of those natural law divine spirits. Not long after, Chu Hongqing arrived. When she saw Xiang drinking, she chastised him with her charming voice, and Xiang then pulled her away. Hongqing, Is your leader dissatisfied with me? Xianxia asked. Do you want me to rescind the master and servant blood contract? No need, this is my own problem. Even if he's unhappy, it doesn't matter. Chu Hongqing smiled at Xianxia. Don't worry about this, I will settle this matter. How is it going after you ate those 5 pills? The effects of condensing 9 bones are very good, right? Where is the lightning dragon eagle's divine soul? My bones needs to be integrated with the divine soul. Chun Xiang said. Here. That lightning dragon eagle has quite a few divine deities, they have all been taken out, and that can also be used to refine pills. Chu Hongqing took out a small red bag. Take a look. Chun Xiang looked inside. There were more than 100 divine deity and more than 10 bones. All of them seemed to be very strong. What about the beast meat and beast blood? Give it all to me. I want to concoct pills. I want to cultivate my Tao body as soon as possible so that I can participate in the gathering. Chen Xiang laughed. You really want to go? Chu Hongqing frowned slightly. Can't you go? Chen Xiang said. Yes, but now, even the disciples of Fire Reverend School hate you. I'm worried that something might happen to you if you go. Chu Hongqing said. Then I won't go. Chan Xiang laughed. Hongqing, why don't you leave Fire Reverend School? You should be clear that following me is much better than staying in Fire Reverend School. My father has a good relationship with the leader. If I were to leave the Fire Reverend School now, the leader would definitely not agree to it. Chu Hongqing shook her head. She gave all the refined beast meat and beast blood to Chan Xiang, as well as the lightning dragon eagle scales, bones, dragon tendons, and other good materials. What about your father? Chen Xiang asked. He died a long time ago. Chu Hongqing sighed. Right now, you better raise your strength first, and give me another lightning dragon eagle. I'll help you get it. Chen Xiang nodded. When Chu Hongqing left, he started to refine pills again. Just now, Chu Hongqing had given him more than 10 sets of medicinal ingredients, which were enough for him to refine quite a few heaven stage high-rank Yaogadan. Chen Xiang had originally wanted to join in on the fun, but she could tell that Chu Hongqing wasn't too willing to join in. It might be because of his master-servant relationship with Chu Hongqing. Otherwise, it would attract too much attention and attract a lot of trouble. I better be honest in concocting pills. We'll talk about it when I have the strength. This time, Chen Xiang was refining a batch of pills a day faster than before. Right now, he felt that he could already completely master the high-grade heaven-ranked Yaogadan, so he planned to challenge even more difficult people with Crash Method S, in order to refine even more high-grade or in order to produce even more pills. Chen Xiang liked to challenge things that were even more difficult. In the eyes of others, the harder it was to reach, the more he liked to challenge them. Especially this kind of Crash Method. If other alchemists were able to produce as many pills as he did, they would definitely be very satisfied. However, he was not. In his eyes, this was not the limit. He was very clear about this. In his eyes, there was no limit to refining pills and cultivating. This is a Jingshan Dan from the start. What would happen if we were to clash again? Chen Xiang had never tried it before. In the era of the Star Law Divine Realm, when he was refining the King Grade and Divine Pellet, it was very difficult to use the Crash Method. Now that his strength had increased by a lot, and he even had Xianxia God Furnace, he wanted to give it a try. Bang bang! Chen Xiang controlled the 5 clumps of medicinal liquid inside the pill furnace to collide with each other at the same time. Previously, he had injected a very powerful force into the pill furnace to push them forward. So at the moment of impact, the Xianxia God Furnace was trembling violently. Chen Xiang could not help but cry out in pain. He did not expect that the energy would actually affect his divine soul, causing his head to feel intense pain. Luckily, it only lasted for a short period of time, or else he would not be able to control himself. It's fine now. Chen Xiang looked at the inside of the Xianxia God Furnace, which had turned into many little floating balls of golden mud, floating inside the pill furnace, occupying a lot of space. Although these balls of mud collided with each other, they did not fuse together. This meant that these small clumps of mud were repelling each other. This was mainly because the energy within them was inconsistent and needed to be refined so that they could unify and fuse together. Xianxia was very experienced with this. He immediately released a strong flame and burned it, at the same time channeling his energy into many small clumps of mud, making them all equal in quality. This step required a lot of time, and even after continuing for a few days, Xianxia was only halfway done. However, he was very patient with this process. As long as he succeeded, the quality of this pill would be very high, many times better than the ordinary pills. As for the specific effects, they could only be seen after the refinement process was completed. More than 10 days had passed. Xianxia finally managed to fuse all of these small clumps of mud into one. Although it had been fused, the most difficult part was that the Xianxia god furnace already had a crystal ball as big as a watermelon. This is the quality of the Jingshandan. If I were to directly smash it into pieces, I would be able to obtain at least 100 high-grade heaven-ranked Yaogadan, and it would even be merged with a beast's meat. Xianxia himself was shocked. He felt that the reason it was like this was mainly because it had injected too much of his own strength during the collision. Of course, this was all because he had too many life-killing divine deity, so the life and death god power was already capable of helping him replicate them. When he had charged into the fray just now, he had injected 30 to 40% of his life and death god power, which was almost half of it. It seems that I have to split this bead into 10 pieces and compress it. Xianxia could not imagine what kind of pill it would be once it was compressed to the size of a peanut. He was also very curious about this. Even though it was very difficult, he had to do it. After a day had passed, Xianxia had finally split the large crystal into 10 parts. He used the split refining method inside the heavenly alchemy to split the large ball of crystal into 10 small beads, and then started to compress it with his powerful divine power. The compression process was the most difficult because the crystal was already very solid and was the ultimate form of energy. It could be said that there was no space for compression anymore. It's difficult to suppress it. Xianxia tried for a long time, but unexpectedly, there was no progress. The 10 pearls were still as big as ever, and did not shrink in any way. What should I do? Xianxia stopped. He realized that even if he ignored them now, the 10 little pearls would not change at all. If he took them out now, it would be 10 very big Jingshandanes. However, he was unwilling. He really wanted to know what it would be like if he continued to compress them. 6 realms mirrors. Xianxia immediately thought of the heavenly artifact. The 6 realms mirrors had many powerful formations. After he took out the 6 realms mirrors, it became very small and he put it inside the Xianxia god furnace. When that time comes, as long as I control the flame to concentrate on those crystal beads, I won't burn any more 6 realms mirrors. Xianxia would definitely be very careful. 6 realms mirrors were rare heavenly artifact, and many times they had helped him in critical moments. After he was ready, Xianxia started again. He controlled a formation inside the 6 realms mirrors to activate, and this formation released a very strong pressure. If he controlled it correctly, it could crush a mountain into grains. Right now, Xianxia was going to turn 10 apple-sized crystal balls into peanut-sized pills. It's starting. Xianxia controlled the Xianxia god furnace to release a fierce flame, and the crystal ball would become softer under the fierce flames. The 6 realms mirrors activated the formation and released a squeeze of power. Xianxia immediately saw that the dozen or so burning red pearls were changing shape, and were being pressured down little by little. It's working. Xianxia was overjoyed. But he was also a little worried. This was because he had exhausted a lot of his energy, and the main reason was that the 6 realms mirrors was frantically absorbing his energy. It could be seen that the 6 realms mirrors required a lot of energy to maintain the array and release its suppressing power. Otherwise, it would be impossible to suppress the crystal balls. Right now, Xianxia could only endure the battle. He was already in the middle of it, and even if it wasn't for a reason, he couldn't stop midway. Otherwise, the compressed crystal beads would erupt. Once it started to compress a little, the crystal ball would become very unstable and could only continue to compress. Once it let go, the furnace would explode. Since he had already reached this step, Xianxia definitely would not give up. No matter how difficult it was, he had to persevere. Right now, Xianxia felt that time was passing very slowly, as though it was every day of the year. 10 days had passed. Xianxia suddenly let out a long breath, and then laid on the ground. He successfully compressed the 10 crystal balls to become as small as a normal pill. He didn't go to see how it was. He was already very tired and just wanted to have a good rest. After lying on the ground for most of the time, Xianxia finally recovered. After that, he opened up the Xianxia god furnace. But there was no aura being emitted from inside, not even the smell of medicine. What's going on? I clearly succeeded. Xianxia thought in his heart, and anxiously took out the 10 completed pills. What is this? Xianxia looked at the 10 transparent little pellets in his hand, inside which a bunch of golden flames were pulsating. Xianxia took a closer look and discovered that other than the things that looked like golden flames inside the pellets, there was a small dot in the middle of the pellets. This small dot was emitting energy, maintaining the flames burning. This? Xianxia took a deep breath in shock. This divine deity. No, it should be called Dan. The fact that the pellet could actually condense his own divine deity had already exceeded his imagination. As expected, there is no limit to the quality. Xianxia confirmed his method once again. These pills not only have divine deity, they also have their own divine soul. I wonder what will happen if I eat them. Xianxia was secretly excited. He then swallowed a pill and started to refine. The pill entered his body and he only needed to slightly circulate his cultivation technique. The medicinal strength was quickly refined and assimilated into his body, entering his second deep sea. Inside Xianxia's second divine sense sea, the azure dragon had already gathered all of its bones. Next, he guided the medicinal power to the ground-suppressing immortal elephant S, and just as he entered the ground-suppressing immortal elephant S, he began to condense his bones. Very fast. Xianxia was wild with joy. A single pill could allow me to condense 2 bones. This is too unbelievable. After he completely condensed the azure dragon's bones, it would be even harder for him to condense bones. But now he had condensed 2 of them in an instant. Not much time has passed. Not only has my bones condensed a lot faster, it's also much easier to refine and easier to absorb. Xianxia felt that as long as he refined a few more batches, he would be able to cultivate Dao body very quickly. After that, he ate all the remaining pills. Each pellet allowed him to condense 2 bones. In less than 2 days, with the help of this kind of Yaoga Dan with divine deity, he allowed the ground-suppressing immortal elephant and the heavenly Qilin to condense 10 bones each. It won't take long. I'll continue refining. Xianxia took out another set of medicinal herbs. Just one set of these herbs, along with beast blood and beast meat, had such an effect after going through a variety of refining methods. If other alchemists were to know about this, they would definitely be shocked. Xianxia had been in closed-door cultivation for 2 months, and in total he had managed to refine 3 batches of heaven pellets with the right to do so. Why hasn't there been any change? Xianxia did not feel that he had a Dao body. If he were to raise his Dao body to a large realm, he would definitely feel an obvious change. Could it be? Xianxia thought about it carefully and said with a frown, could it be that my second divine sense needs another 100 gods level? According to what he felt, the second divine sense no longer needed divine deity. The Yaoga Dan can condense divine deity too. Give it a try. Xianxia still had 5 pills. He ate one and channeled his alive slain method to condense his divine deity in the second divine sense. Not long after, he managed to condense several divine deity in the second divine sense. It's fast. How much divine deity can a pellet condense? Xianxia was extremely shocked. Previously, when this pellet condensed 2 bones S, he was shocked. But now, the condensing of divine deity S was like laying eggs, continuous and unending. 30 divine deity. Xianxia's heart trembled. The value of this was too heaven-defying. He discovered that one of the beast statue could hold 20 divine deity, and the green dragon was quickly filled up by him. So, my second divine sense can condense 160 divine deities? Xianxia was very excited. This meant that when he stepped into the Dao Ti realm, he would become a lot stronger and be able to possess a very powerful Dao body. After that, he consumed the remaining 4 pellets and spent 3 days to condense 120 divine deity. We still lack 10 divine deities. Xianxia still had a few Yaogadan in his possession, all of which he had refined using ordinary methods before. After eating them all, he continued to cultivate. Only he could consume so many powerful pills to cultivate quickly. Not long after, his divine deity at the second divine sense were completely full. Right now, he had not stepped into the Tao body because his divine soul was not enough. Regardless of whether it was divine deity or not, both required one to either integrate divine soul inside, or cultivate it themselves. This required a total of more than 200 sets of divine soul. But Xianxia did not feel it was difficult, because he had the lightning dragon eagle's corpse in his hands. These lightning dragon eagle all had 2 divine senses. If he was careful, he could obtain a lot of divine soul from their bodies. He felt that the divine soul in these few lightning dragon eagles were sufficient for him to use. A few days later, Xianxia's body started to shine with a white light. He could feel his body being immersed in a warm and comfortable water, and the warm energy that was flowing within his body made him feel extremely comfortable. Have I stepped into the Tao Ti realm? Xianxia thought. At this moment, not only did he feel a change in his body, even the 6-beast elephant in the second divine sense seemed to have life. My first divine sense has already become a real world. How magical! Xianxia could clearly feel that the divine sense world in the first divine sense was no longer his illusion, but actually existed in a world that contained its own laws. I can change the time inside. Xianxia increased the speed of the time so that the plants inside could grow quickly. It was just that it required a lot of energy. I can use my control of the laws of the real world to comprehend natural law principles. Xianxia was shocked in his heart because just now, when he controlled the real world, he had already felt the subtle changes in time. Xianxia opened his eyes and thought, I understand. The so-called Tao Ti realm is to cultivate a real world, where one can experience the workings of the heavenly Tao for themselves, and experience the power of natural law principles from it. I can even create a natural law principles, but right now, I have already created a natural law world. My body is just a container for a natural law world. When he thought about this level, Xianxia was immediately shocked. He felt that it was very likely that he was in someone's real world, and the only thing he did not realize was that this person had cultivated an extremely huge natural law divine realm that had been operating for many years. Normally, this person would not even be in charge of it. Are we really in the real world of a living being? Xianxia looked at his own real world. He believed that as long as he had time, he would be able to make his real world stronger. There would also be many creatures born inside that would form a system that would operate. Of course, this would take a very long time. If it were in the past, he might not care about the world that he had created. All of this was only his guess, but it also became a direction of exploration. He felt that if it was truly as he thought, he wanted to meet the master of this world, and that was the true heavenly Tao. Upon entering the Tao Ti realm, the most obvious increase was in strength. After all, his bones and strength had both increased by almost 200, so the increase in strength was definitely extremely huge. The 120 divine deity that Xianxia had cultivated in the second divine sense had all been for the sake of helping him condense even stronger purple pearls that could help him quickly duplicate medicinal ingredients. Furthermore, when using the crash method, the best and most effective life and death divine power condensed by the life-killing divine deity would allow him to refine a heaven pellet that had the right to do so. With just a few medicinal ingredients, I was able to increase my cultivation by such a huge amount. The heavenly alchemy is indeed frightening. Who exactly was the one who created this heavenly alchemy? This was a question that had been in Xianxia's heart for many years. After taking a bath, Xianxia walked out of the secret room. Yu Yan and LV Ying were drinking wine, and were both surprised to see Xianxia walk in. You've cultivated Tao body? Yu Yan asked anxiously. You managed to cultivate the Tao body in less than 3 months? How did you do it? Furthermore, you are on the verge of a breakthrough. I am an alchemist, you understand? Xianxia laughed, and picked up the wine that LV Ying poured for him, and drank it all in one gulp. Before he formed his Tao body, he could get drunk from drinking this wine, but now he felt like he was drinking water. Good boy, amazing. Yu Yan immediately poured wine for him, and then the three of them filled the bowl with wine. You're not in a hurry to attend the Heavenly Law auction? Yu Yan asked again. No, I don't plan on going. This will bring trouble to my little maid. Xianxia laughed. Has she been here before? Of course I have. Come on time. It's just that I didn't see you, you brat. This demoness was previously made of steel and no one could bite her. But who would have thought that you would make her obedient? Yu Yan laughed wickedly. She told me to tell you if you came out, you should go participate in the Heavenly Law auction. She should have dealt with all of those troubles. Really? Xianxia had already given up on that idea. Of course it's true. Furthermore, she was even invited to go by the Fire Reverend School's leader. You are very famous now. I wonder how many people come to this shop to find you every day. Yu Yan laughed and patted LV Ying's back. Boss Lu, your shop's business is so good now. It's all thanks to younger brother Shin. How are you going to thank him now? LV Ying smiled as he poured wine for Xianxia. I will thank you so much, little brother. Xianxia laughed. That's unnecessary, you just have to take care of the food and shelter, and from time to time, let big brother you drink some wine. Just as the three of them were happily drinking, someone suddenly walked in. It was the shopkeeper. Boss, another person has come to cause trouble. This time, the person who has come is not someone to be trifled with. We can't just chase him away like we did in the past. The shopkeeper said with a worried expression. What are you doing here? Xianxia asked anxiously. He guessed that it must be related to him, and from the shopkeeper's words it must have been something like that. LV Ying sighed. Even they came to challenge you. Because you took Chu Hongqing as your female slave, mercilessly defeated Niu Hao, and closed the door on him. You could be said to have become famous in the Fire Tao Divine Place in one fight. A lot of people who want to be famous are trying to beat you. They think that as long as they can beat you, they will be able to get such a reputation just like you. Right now, I only know how to refine Yaogadan. Compared to them, I can't even concoct other pills. Xianxia shook his head and laughed. Of course, I can compete with the Yaogadaness on the heaven stage. Younger brother Shin, do you know how to refine heaven stage Yaogadan? Yu Yan was suddenly so shocked that he almost choked on his wine. LV Ying was also very surprised, and could not believe it. What is it? Is that strange? Xianxia didn't really think so. Of course it's strange. This crappy shop of Boss Lu's only had heaven stage pellets at its highest. That king's pellet he kept here was a treasure used to hold shop. Yu Yan said, Little brother, are you serious? Refining a heaven-ranked Yaogadan would take a lot of time, so I would need 10 days. LV Ying said, 10 days? It's a little slow. Xianxia laughed. If I refine it, adding the beast meat and beast blood, it'll be done in a day. Right now, it should be more than 1 day. The corner of LV Ying's mouth twitched. He did not dare to not believe what Xianxia had said. So he asked, not just for a day, but for how long? Adding beast blood, beast meat would definitely increase the difficulty by a lot, and it wasn't just something he could refine in a day. He could only use the word monster to describe Xianxia. I'm not sure either. We have to give it a try to know. Xianxia had refined a few batches of heavenly pellets before, so his skill at refining heaven stage had increased by a lot. Furthermore, he had already stepped into the Dao Ti realm. Although he was only at the first stage of the Dao Ti realm, it was still a huge improvement compared to previous stages. Go! Aren't there bastards that want to cause trouble? Kill him. Yu Yan said, I'll go and give it a try now. Yu Yan pulled Xianxia. You don't need to refine those on the heaven stage, and those in the middle will suffice. You don't need to add the beast blood, beast meat to challenge those ignorant brats who don't know their place. They can only refine those on the heaven stage if they push themselves to their deaths. LV Ying nodded. Let's try it out. All right. Xianxia smiled, then shared a bowl with them before walking downstairs. The luxurious lobby on the first floor was already filled with people. The commotion caused by the people was not small, and with a single glance, one could tell that they had some sort of background. Hongqing. Xianxia saw that Chu Hongqing was also there, and there were a few other handsome men beside her. Chu Hongqing had also just arrived, when a few men came up to chat with her. But when she saw Xianxia, she anxiously went over, and although she was surprised, she did not come out. "You haven't seen me for so long. Do you miss me?" Xianxia giggled as she pinched Chu Hongqing's beautiful face, causing everyone to curse him in their hearts. He actually treated such a beauty so rudely. Humph! Chu Hongqing pouted coquettishly, then walked behind Xianxia. "You're just Xianxia?" A blue-clothed man walked up. Behind him were 2 attendants and a few beautiful maidservants. "Nonsense!" Chu Hongqing scoffed. Xianxia sized him up. Then he turned out to be a little handsome, looking somewhat arrogant, but with no special characteristics. "Lan Taotian from Lan clan?" LV Ying said. "That's the guy." Yu Yen said, "After staying in the Fire Reverend School for a while, I have learned quite a good pill refining skill and then went back. I should be able to conveniently come to participate in this heavenly mystery to challenge the younger brother Shin." Xianxia had also heard that the Tiandao family had quite a bit of power in this region. They normally wouldn't dare to provoke anyone, so he had to be careful around LV Ying. At this time, everyone wanted to see if Xianxia was really as powerful as the rumors said he was. Because Xianxia had accepted Chu Hongqing as a servant, the young masters at the scene were furious. They all hoped that Xianxia would lose to him. "Not bad. I wonder if young Master Shin will accept my challenge?" Lan Taotian smiled at Xianxia. It was a smile filled with confidence. "I can accept that, but I can only refine Yaogadan, and now I can barely make heaven-ranked ones. So if you want to challenge me, you can only compete with me on this," Xianxia said. Those who watched the competition that day knew that Xianxia was still not very familiar with refining Yaogadan. Those who heard about it later on knew about it too, so Lan Taotian was very clear about it too. "If you want to challenge me, you can only challenge me to refine Yaogadan S. I do not know how to refine other pills. I will definitely lose," Xianxia said. Xianxia had refined a low-grade heaven-ranked Yaogadan, and he could produce 10 of them in one furnace. Not to mention this Lan Taotian, even if the strongest old alchemist from the Fire Tao Divine Place S were to be invited, it would still be very difficult for him to win against Xianxia. But what about middle-grade heaven step? Everyone was thinking about this matter. The middle-grade heaven stage was much harder to refine than the lower grade. They all felt that it would not be as easy for Xianxia to refine middle-grade heaven stage. Lan Taotian could not say anything now. After all, Xianxia had already very directly told him that he could not possibly have a competition with someone else for a pill that they were not familiar with. "Alright, let's compete in refining a middle-grade heaven stage Yaogadan." Lan Taotian had also come prepared, so he only considered for a moment before agreeing. Xianxia smiled and nodded. "Then let's begin. From the looks of it, you seem to be very good at refining Yaogadan too." Chu Hongqing did not say anything. She knew that Xianxia's pill refining skills were very high, let alone middle-ranked. Even if it was high-ranked with beast meat and blood, he could still refine 5 pills, and she could not compare to Xianxia. "I heard that Lan Taotian's middle-tier Yaogadan was also very powerful. Most of the middle-tier Yaogadan that his Lan clan S sold were refined by him." Those who were familiar with this area discussed with the people around them in a low voice. "I also know that I bought a Yaogadan refined by Lan Taotian. It was mixed with beast blood and beast meat. Although it was a bit expensive, I felt that it was worth it. A middle-ranked Yaogadan with beast blood meat added on it? This Lan Taotian is not bad. I just wonder how many pills he can refine in a single furnace." 3 pills. If we do not add them, it is possible to get 4 or 5 of them. Although everyone knew that Lan Taotian was more outstanding in refining a middle-tier Yaogadan, they did not dare to underestimate him. After all, Xianxia was able to refine 10 low-tier Yaogadan in one furnace, which was quite heaven-defying. The reason why Lan Taotian came to challenge Xianxia was also to increase his fame. He felt that it wasn't a big deal even if he lost, because he was already outstanding and had a very high position in the Lan clan. Xianxia did not have any mid-grade Yaogadan medicinal ingredients, so he asked LV Ying for a portion of it. Then he took out a pill furnace. "Isn't this pill furnace Chu Hongqing's?" The pill furnace is the life of the alchemist, and he would normally not casually borrow it. It looks like his relationship with Chu Hongqing is not just ordinary. Hehe. So what? The Fire Reverend School was very unsatisfied with this. After Chu Hongqing learnt this brat's consummate pill techniques, he would probably force him and Chu Hongqing to remove the master-servant contract. This is probably why Chu Hongqing became his master-servant contract. Although Xianxia heard these words, he did not put it to heart. What kind of thoughts did Chu Hongqing have? Master-servant contract was not a joke. It was equivalent to handing over his heart and life to him. Of course, Xianxia still had to be wary of Fire Reverend School. After inspecting each other's pill furnaces and ingredients, Xianxia and Lan Taotian began to refine pills. It was just an ordinary refinement, so there wasn't anything difficult for Xianxia. He was able to easily refine that kind of pill, let alone an ordinary medial-grade Yaogadan. When concocting the pills, Xianxia noticed that there was a rather strong strand of consciousness inspecting his pill furnace. After he discovered it, he immediately stopped it. Xianxia immediately followed this consciousness and discovered that it was released by a black-clothed man in the back of the crowd. Hongqing, who is that guy from the outer sect? Do you know him? This fellow is not simple. Xianxia quickly transmitted to Chu Hongqing and sent the image of the man to her mind. It's him. Chu Hongqing was shocked. I know him. He is from the Feng family, the most powerful family of the Fire Tao Divine Place, the Heavenly Tao family. Oh? He was very strong. It almost disturbed me. Xianxia said. The Feng family and the Lan clan have a good relationship. Did he try to disturb you? This guy is definitely trying to collude with Lan clan on purpose. Chu Hongqing scoffed. If he dares to do it again, you can tell me. I'll go and take care of him. His name is Feng Heng, an alchemist at the peak of the Dao Yuan realm, a disciple of Supreme Flame. Xianxia continued to refine pills. Although the other party wanted to disturb him, he was still a little weak and was discovered. Last time, Xianxia used a magic method furnace to refine pills because he did not have a good pill furnace. Now that he had Chu Hongqing's pill furnace and was more familiar with the refining process of a Yaogadan, it was not as difficult as last time. After half an hour had passed, Xianxia suddenly opened his pill furnace. Completed? Everyone was startled. They never thought that Xianxia had improved so much. Previously, he was still a stranger to Yaogadan, but now he was so familiar with it. Lan Taotian had not finished refining the pill, and the rules were only set to 4 hours. The competition was only about the quantity and quality of the pills being produced. 10 pills. Xianxia casually took out 10 Yaogadans from the furnace and the entire place suddenly became quiet. 10 low-rank ones, 10 mid-rank ones, and 10 high-rank ones. That would be too heaven-defying. Chu Hongqing was also a little surprised. She thought that she had caught up to only 7 or 8 pills, but she never expected that Xianxia could actually maintain his low-ranked strength. Only now did she remember that Xianxia had refined 5 high-rank Yaogadan with beast blood meat before, and it was not an ordinary process. If it was an ordinary refinement, refining 10 pills wouldn't be a problem. When Lan Taotian saw Xianxia being able to refine 10 pills in one go, causing him to be extremely shocked, his mind was not at ease. His pill furnace shook violently, and with a bang, he exploded the furnace. I've lost. Lan Taotian still had time to concoct new pills, but he was very clear that no matter how many batches he concocted, he would not be able to produce more than Xianxia. Xianxia stood up. Even though everyone was looking at him as if they were looking at a monster, he did not feel anything. You only know how to refine Yaogadan. Feng Heng suddenly spoke out. He took off his bamboo hat and walked over. Lan Taotian immediately came to his side, and knew that they were not bad with just a glance, which immediately made Xianxia secretly angry. So what? Xianxia said coldly, facing such a despicable person. The other party did not look good. Just by looking at his appearance, Feng Heng was someone who would easily give others a good impression. He was handsome, and did not carry a haughty look like Lan Taotian. But Xianxia knew that this Feng Heng was very sinister. Feng Heng laughed faintly. Nothing to be able to refine Yaogadan to such an extent. In Fire Tao Divine Place, there is no one who can rival you. But so what? You only know how to refine this kind of pill. For you to be able to forge such a pill, you definitely won't focus on the other pills. If you did not have such accomplishments in refining other pellets, you would have definitely suffered a huge blow, and then you would have spent your entire life refining Yaogadan. Because as long as you refine Yaogadan, you would not feel any sense of defeat. Therefore, no matter how well you have refined the Yaogadan, in my eyes, you are not a real alchemist. A real alchemist should be proficient in many different types of pills. Even if you have refined other pills, it would still be extremely outstanding. Xianxia sneered. You are just like me. What right do you have to assert that I only know how to refine Yaogadan? Why are you so confident that I will only refine Yaogadan in my lifetime? Oh? Didn't you only know how to refine Yaogadan? This is yours. Fang Heng also sneered. One look was enough to tell that he was looking for trouble. Chu Hongqing had already wanted to go over to fix Fang Heng, but he was stopped by Chen Xiang. That's because I just learned how to refine pills, and I only know how to refine Yaogadan. I have yet to try out any other pills. Chen Xiang answered honestly. So you and I will only refine Yaogadan S for your imagination. Lan Tao Tian suddenly sneered. What big words! Don't you know who the person in front of you is? He is definitely qualified to say those words. He is a disciple of the Fire Reverend School Leader. So that's how it is. I finally understand. As long as you become a leader, you can be a hero. If that's the case, then it would be my honor for a disciple of the Fire Reverend School to come all the way here to fight Huba. Chen Xiang also mocked him. Who do you think you are to dare insult Fire Reverend School like that? Lan Taotian was immediately enraged. Thinking back to how he had lost just now, his own heart was filled with anger. I don't have anything. I'm human. Do you think everyone has something in their eyes? And you think everyone else is the same just because you think you have something of your own? Chen Xiang laughed. Chen Xiang, if you want to prove yourself, then compete with me in another batch of pills. Since you have just started learning pill refining, you just need to compete with those below heaven stage. Fang Heng said. Everyone present immediately understood that Fang Heng's previous words had already incited him to compete with him in refining other pills. Only by doing so could they win. You're giving me the pill formula? Chen Xiang asked. If you give it to me, I'll agree to compete with you. All right. I'll agree to the medicinal formula and ingredients. A pleased look flashed across Fang Heng's eyes. He had been waiting for Chen Xiang's words. Seeing that Chen Xiang had been provoked, Chu Hongqing and the others secretly blamed him for being too reckless. Chu Hongqing even lightly pinched Chen Xiang. Before the competition, we should at least make a bet. Only then will there be any meaning. Fang Heng said. All right, what do you want to bet? Chen Xiang asked. He was not afraid of the other party. If you lose, give me your control over Chu Hongqing. Fang Heng said. That meant Chen Xiang had lost, and Chu Hongqing was Fang Heng's female slave. Then please go back. Although Hongqing is my servant, she is not a wager in my eyes. I will definitely not use her as a wager. Chen Xiang's expression changed, and everyone could see that he was extremely resolute, causing Chu Hongqing to be secretly moved in his heart. Seeing how determined Chen Xiang was, Fang Heng became even more furious in his heart, because now, everyone could tell that Chen Xiang was very concerned about Chu Hongqing's body and heart were both on the same level as Chen Xiang. The lofty hierarch flame had been taken over by such a stinky kid. Everyone present felt uncomfortable just thinking about it. All right, then how about we bet 1,000,000 on the jade money? No matter what, Fang Heng would definitely compete with Chen Xiang today, and would even defeat him, causing him great losses. Only 1,000,000? You still have the nerve to say that, young master of the Fang family, and a disciple of Supreme Flame's leader, would you bet so little? Chen Xiang sneered. The crowd immediately went into an uproar. 1,000,000 jade money, no ordinary person would be able to afford that. Even the owner, LV Ing, wouldn't be able to afford that. To many people, 1,000,000 jade money was considered very big. 10 million. Fang Heng clenched his teeth. Previously, he was still rather arrogant, but now, he had actually been flipped over by Chen Xiang. 50 million. Chen Xiang shouted indifferently. If you don't want to, then go back. Xianxia could have rejected Fang Heng earlier, because he was betting on Chu Hongqing, and Fang Heng was even taking the initiative to challenge Xianxia. If Fang Heng rejected the Jade Moneys who were gambling on him now, then he would be terrified. As the challenger, if he left with his tail between his legs, he would definitely be laughed at. 1 million was Fang Heng's limit. He was confident that he would not lose, but 50 million now was giving him a lot of pressure. Don't speak nonsense. Do you have 50 million on you? Fang Heng said coldly. No. But do you have 10 million? How could Xianxia not know about the situation of the jade money? I don't. But my Fang family's reputation is right here. What do you have? Fang Heng sneered. I have refined 10 Yaogadan. I believe that I can also refine them to this degree. Xianxia said, Boss Liu, if I can produce 10 pellets in one furnace and refine 10 batches in a day, how many jade money can I earn in one day? 5,000 jade money as a portion of the Yaogadan's medicinal ingredients. If a Yaogadan goes one on top, then it would be 10,000 jade money going one pellet, and a furnace would have 10,000 jade money going 10,000, while 10 stoves would have 100,000 and a million. Excluding 10 sets of medicinal ingredients for 50,000 jade money, you can earn 950,000 jade money for a day. LV Ying said. When everyone heard that, they could not help but jump in fright. One day it was close to 1 million jade money. In 1 month it would be 30 million. After all, S were rather popular and had a lot of medicinal ingredients. If Xianxia really wanted to refine them this way, it would be a blessing for many cultivators. If I lose, I could pay back 50 million jade money at most in half a year. Xianxia said, 50 million jade money? Do you dare to bet? Fang Heng did not answer immediately. After all, this was a huge amount of money, and if he lost and the Fang family did not give him the money, it would definitely cause him to lose his reputation. And he would be blamed. Can you really refine 10 batches of Yaogadan in one day? Suddenly someone walked in. Upon hearing the voice, the anxious Fang Heng was overjoyed, because his father had come. Father! Fang Heng immediately walked over. He did not know what to do earlier. That's right. He only refined normal Yaogadan. He did not need to add beast blood and meat, so he felt that it would definitely not be a problem. When Xianxia saw the middle-aged man come over, it was like seeing a jade money. This middle-aged man would definitely gamble in order to support his son. His Fang family's second clan head, Fang Daiqi, is quite strong. The fire reverent school leader has often praised him. Chu Hongqing whispered to Xianxia. Let's see how I'll trick him to death. Xianxia laughed. Fang Daiqi thought for a while and said, But I don't believe that you can refine 10 batches a day. However, I believe that you can refine 10 batches of Yaogadan in one day. The price of Yaogadan are not bad. If you lose, you can pay back the gambling debts within a year. Then you're willing to bet. Xianxia smiled lightly. 50 millions is between Fang Heng and I. How about we bet 100 million? Only then can we face senior status. Of course. I wonder if senior represents the Fang family? Fang Daiqi also knew the rules. His son would give him the pill formulas and ingredients, and then compete with Xianxia in refining a batch of heaven-tier lower pellets. With regards to Xianxia, who suffered a bit because he had never concocted that kind of pill before, although he was able to concoct 10 Yaogadan as soon as he came into contact with them, Fang Daiqi had also heard that Xianxia had taken out a lot of Yaogadan medicinal ingredients at that time, so he felt that Xianxia had a certain understanding towards Yaogadan. After careful consideration, Fang Daiqi made a decision and said, If you lose, you have to go to our Fang family to refine Yaogadan. Enough to pay off your gambling debts. Only an ancient clan like the Fang family could afford to gamble like that. But Xianxia was even more admirable, because he, too, could afford it. He concocted pills quickly and got a lot of pills. Right now, everyone suddenly felt that it was very worthwhile for Chu Hongqing to be Xianxia's servant. Chu Hongqing did not have any objections. She felt that even if Xianxia loses, he would only be able to concoct pills for a short period of time. At that time, she would also help refine it, and it wouldn't be for long. Younger brother Shen, that's 100 million. Yu Yan was also shocked. Although he came from a tribe deep in the mountains, He knew that this was not a small amount. Nothing, I can afford it. Xianxia smiled faintly. He walked to the front and asked, "All right, refine the heaven stage pill. Give me the pill formula and ingredients." Fang Heng took out a jade tablet and gave it to Xianxia, saying, "This recipe." He then took out a jade box and placed 3 sets of medicinal ingredients inside. "Qiuan Dan?" Xianxia frowned. When everyone heard this, they cried out in alarm. Lving said in a serious tone, "This is a miraculous pill, and is extremely difficult to refine. Furthermore, it can only be concocted with Daoyuan immortal power, and even if one has Daoyuan immortal power, it is very difficult to successfully refine it, because this pill requires the Fang family's unique divine power." "Fang family, don't you think this is too despicable?" Chu Hongqing was furious. "You clearly can only concoct such a pill in your Fang family, and yet you take it out? You don't have a big family background." Everyone knew that the Fang family had such a miraculous pill, but they never thought that they would actually be willing to give it to Xianxia. But it didn't matter as long as he thought about it. After all, no one else would be able to refine it, and he would be able to obtain 100 million jade money. The father and son duo of Fang Daichi was so lucky, they probably wouldn't even need to compete to win. "You bastard of a father and son, you've put on a good show. You all did it on purpose before." Yu Yen shouted in anger. When they thought about it, they could understand why. Previously, Fang Heng pretended to act that way in order to lure Xianxia into a trap. "Ha ha!" Fang Heng laughed out loud. "I remember that previously he had only been below heaven stage, our Qiuan Dan was also below heaven stage, and it was very precious. After eating the Dao Yuan realm, it could increase the power of Dao origin, although the difficulty is great, but it sold for a high price. It is worth it for him to buy it for 100 million, it is definitely not a loss." Xianxia was very calm and asked, "So if I win, I can sell this kind of pill? Won't your Fang family interfere? This is our gift to you. If you really can refine it, we will not interfere." "What? You want to try it?" Fang Heng laughed coldly. "It's all right, without our Fang family's special mystical powers, you won't be able to refine it. No, even my master cannot succeed, you can't not ask Chu Hongqing." "It's true." Chu Hongqing understood this the best. Even the few she was familiar with did not succeed. Rules. Xianxia did not care about this, he just wanted to give it a try. "I will only give you 3 sets of medicinal herbs within the 6 hours limit. If you fail, it will be considered your loss. As for me, I can only use 3 sets of ingredients at most. Victory and defeat will determine the quantity and quality of the pills." Fang Heng said he had already thought that Xianxia would definitely lose, so Xianxia could only struggle out of nowhere. Even Chu Hongqing and the others did not think highly of Xianxia, because they had been in the Fire Tao Divine Place for so many years, so they understood this very well. "All right." Xianxia was extremely confident. Everyone thought that he was that confident because he did not know much about Qiuan Dan. "You'll know in a moment." Fang Heng laughed and took out a black pill furnace. Xianxia still used Chu Hongqing's pill furnace. After inspecting the other party's ingredients and pill furnaces, the competition immediately began. Xianxia was not too worried about that strange god power, because he only cultivated 6 god power, and it contained all the power of the heavenly Dao. There are 10 stages to the Dao Ti realm. Refining this kind of pill requires Daoyuan immortal power. I don't have it right now. This point that Xianxia was more worried about, he had already seen the pill formula before. It was clear to him that it required Daoyuan immortal power to be injected during the process of condensing the pill. That was the most crucial point. "Hongqing, what's the condition of the Daoyuan immortal power?" Xianxia whispered to Chu Hongqing. "When one's Dao body reaches the peak of its power, their powers will be channeled into a powerful Dao body, which is a type of power that can only be activated by powerful Dao body. Normally, one would only be able to attempt it once they have reached the 10th stage of the Dao Ti realm, and once they succeed, they will be able to enter the Dao Yuan realm." Chu Hongqing said. "So, the lightning dragon eagle's flesh also contains this kind of Daoyuan immortal power?" Xianxia asked. "That's right. The lightning dragon eagle are all savage beasts from the Dao Yuan realm." Chu Hongqing replied. Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief, because this was a huge problem for him. But now he felt that it was nothing. Young Master Fong, I'm not at the Dao Yuan realm yet. Can I add some other materials into the mix? Xianxia asked. Do you want to add the meat of a savage beast? Of course you can, but you won't succeed. Fong Hung said, you just need to refine the Qiyuan Dan yourself. Adding anything else is fine. When Fong Hung heard that Xianxia wanted to add something, he knew what Xianxia was thinking. The reason why he usually added meat from a savage beast into his pill was to allow the pill to produce this kind of Daoyuan immortal power. Since he could join, Xianxia had nothing to worry about right now. He believed that he would definitely succeed. Let's begin, Fong Daichi said. Everyone present thought that Xianxia would not succeed, especially the Fong family's father and son, because they understood the Qiyuan Dan very well. Now that LV Ying and Chu Hongqing were so confident, they could only hope that Xianxia really had a way to concoct the pill. Qiyuan Dan were also very expensive because in the entire Fire Tao Divine Place, only the Fong family could refine such a pill. Furthermore, the usage of the pill was not small, and to cultivators in the Dao Yuan realm, the use of the pill was extremely important. If enough jade money could buy such a pill, it would only be a matter of time before they surpassed the Dao Yuan realm. From the very beginning, Fong Heng's speed was extremely fast. After handling the medicinal herbs and releasing the flames, he completed it in a single breath in a few blinks of an eye. Fong Heng's level was originally very high. After all, he was a disciple of the Fire Reverend school leader and a young master of the Fong family. It would be strange if he did not have such a level of skill. Xianxia was the same as usual. When refining this kind of strange pill, he would observe his opponent first. This way, he could have a direction to go. Qiyuan Dan did not require much medicinal ingredients, but the conditions to refine it were extremely harsh. This medicinal formula was created by the Fong family's ancestors, so only members of the Fong family could refine it. Xianxia carefully observed Fong Heng's pill furnace and used the Dao Heart Eye to look at it. Xianxia stared at his pill furnace without blinking, making him feel uncomfortable, as if he had been spied on. After observing for a while, Xianxia realized that Fong Hung had released an extremely strong flame from the very beginning, which then gradually weakened. The time it takes to refine this kind of pill should be very short. Xianxia was also prepared to start concocting. He looked at the herbs in the jade box. There were 3 of them in each, a black bean, a white flower, and finally a golden fruit. He did not know what kind of ingredients those were, but he would send a sound transmission to Chu Hongqing. Did not know either, so it could be seen that the Fong family was extremely well prepared in this area. If the concoction is successful, the Fong clan will definitely take back the remaining medicinal materials. Xianxia thought that if he were to succeed after only using 1 portion of the ingredients, there would be 2 more left. In order to prevent him from bringing them back for planting, the Fong family would definitely take them all back. Therefore, the first thing he would do next was to secretly hide a copy. Finally, everyone saw Xianxia start to concoct pills, just like how Fong Hung did. He tidied up the ingredients, and then placed them into the pill furnace. At this time, Xianxia had also secretly circulated his power, transferring the medicinal ingredients that had been put into the furnace into the ring, and then condensed a ball of violent fire into the furnace. He purposely waited for a moment before he detonated the ball of fire. The furnace released a muffled sound, causing Xianxia to purposely sigh. The furnace exploded. This was the reaction of everyone, but everyone felt that it was normal, since even Fire Reverend school leader would not be able to succeed, let alone a boy that had not cultivated for long. Seeing Xianxia's explosion, Fong Hung and his father looked at each other and laughed. They had already expected this to happen. Xianxia had purposely made it for the sake of transferring the medicinal ingredients to him for him to copy later on. Now, he was truly going to start concocting the pills. He still had 2 more medicinal herbs. If he didn't succeed, he would lose 100 million. Xianxia placed the second batch of ingredients into the furnace and released the flame. He then started to refine the ingredients extremely carefully. When he was refining medicinal ingredients that he had never refined before, He usually needed the shortest amount of time to understand the special characteristics of these medicinal ingredients and use a very gentle flame. Otherwise, if the medicinal ingredients were too violent in the beginning and too fragile, they would be burnt. Xianxia had conducted many such competitions before, so he had a lot of experience, and he did not plan to succeed this round, because he wanted to understand the characteristics of the 3 medicinal ingredients thoroughly before he could proceed to the final stage of core formation. These ingredients are all relatively soft. Too strong of a flame can be instantly burnt to ashes. Looks like it's the same as the bone-level fruit. It needs to be refined with water and fire. Xianxia had comprehended many different methods from the heavenly alchemy. He could use different methods to refine the ingredients according to their condition. After a short period of purification, he was able to immediately determine the characteristics of the 3 medicinal ingredients in the furnace. Then, he used the 6 realms power to condense a liquid and pour it into the furnace, soaking the 3 medicinal ingredients. I wonder if the 6 realms power can replace the Feng family's mysterious powers. Xianxia didn't dare to be sure now, so he could only try it out. These medicinal ingredients were all low-grade heaven-ranked medicine, so they were relatively easy to refine. In just an hour's time, Xianxia had completely refined all of them. Inside the pill furnace, the 3 spheres of black and white gold were submerged in the water. These were 3 medicinal liquids. Xianxia used his divine power to gather the 3 liquids together, but he was unable to succeed. When the 3 medicinal liquids merged together, they all had a very peculiar reaction. It was just that they overlapped together, but they were incompatible. If one withdrew their divine force, the overlapping medicinal liquids would once again run out and form the 3 original lumps. I should first put it into the savage beast meat. Xianxia tried a few times, but all was the same. He then threw in a large amount of beast meat. Seeing that Xianxia had added something, and had a serious expression, Feng Heng was secretly pleased. At this time, he could guess the problem Xianxia was facing because other than the Feng family, the problems he had in the Alchemist were all the same. Adding flesh and blood is useless. I heard that Fire Reverend school leader tried to join hundreds of different kinds of flesh and blood but failed. Many of his old alchemists have tried hundreds of times, but none of them succeeded. And now he has 2 more chances. In order to prove the uniqueness of the Qiyuan Dan, the Feng family distributed medicine everywhere and even organized a large assembly for the alchemist to refine. That's right, the Qiyuan Dan has also become famous because of this. Xianxia also learned from the discussions of the crowd how the Qiyuan Dan became famous. At this point in time, he had already refined the savage beast's flesh and split it into 3 equal groups, merging them into the 3 medicinal liquids. The process of fusing them was extremely smooth. After completely fusing them, Xianxia once again tried to fuse the 3 clumps of medicinal liquid. However, they still did not succeed. The 3 medicinal liquids could converge but not fuse together, and once they retracted their powers, they would immediately separate. When they squeezed the 3 medicinal liquids together, it would also be very easy, and they would not need any divine powers. Xianxia finally understood that in order to fuse the 3 medicinal liquids together, he would have to use the Feng family's unique divine power. What kind of divine power is this? Xianxia used the Dao Heart Eye to look at Feng Heng's furnace. He used water and fire refinement to refine all the medicinal ingredients extremely quickly. Although he had observed for a while, in the end, he still caught up to Feng Heng. At this time, Feng Heng had also made progress. Using the Dao Heart Eye, he could see that there were 3 batches of medicinal liquid slowly gathering in Feng Heng's pill furnace. Is that the mysterious god ability? Xianxia looked carefully, and noticed that it was a light red light, and in order to look more carefully, he even stealthily released a bit of his divine soul and used the power of space to infiltrate it. His wisp of divine soul was extremely weak and would not disturb Feng Heng from concocting pills, but it would let him understand the situation inside the opposing party's furnace more clearly. This is... Xianxia was ecstatic. He suddenly understood why the 3 clumps of medicinal liquid required the so-called mysterious god power to gather together. The strange divine power that Feng Heng was using was the counterpower that he was very familiar with. For some reason, The three medicinal liquids were mutually exclusive. No matter what, they could not be fused. However, if they were to use counterpower, they would initially reject each other, and they would then become attracted to each other. Haha! I understand. Chun Xiang was ecstatic. He did not think that it would be so easy to overcome this difficulty. It did not even require a bit of effort. Although he was happy, he still had doubts in his heart. Why does the Fang family know about this counterpower? He urged the counterpower in his body to enter the 3 lumps of medicinal liquid. As expected, the 3 lumps of medicinal liquid did not need him to condense them. They all sucked on each other, gathering together with confidence. The moment it gathered, Chun Xiang felt a very violent power. At the same time, it also erupted with a strong white light, causing the pill furnace to shake violently. Chun Xiang did not expect such a sudden change. Before he even had the chance to control it, the ball of liquid medicine that had just merged burst open. The furnace exploded again. No one was surprised at all. Fang Heng even revealed a smile, although he had seen too much of this kind of thing. But seeing that Chun Xiang had gone crazy with happiness, he was extremely happy in his heart. Chu Hongqing could only sigh now that Chun Xiang only had one chance. If he failed again in the period of time that he had left, he would have to help the Fang family refine Yaogadan. It had only been an hour, and under normal circumstances, it would take at least 2 hours for a Fang family disciple to refine a cauldron of Qiyuandan. Everyone felt that Chun Xiang would lose in less than 2 hours. Chun Xiang was thinking about why the furnace had exploded just now, and the replayed sequence of events continuously replayed in his mind. He slowed down the process and carefully analyzed it, in order to find out the reason. The time limit was 6 hours, which was still more than enough for Chun Xiang. Unknowingly, Chun Xiang had already pondered for more than an hour. At this time, Fang Heng also opened his pill furnace and took out 2 Qiyuandan. Their quality was top-notch. All of the alchemists present were full of envy. They all knew that the value of this Qiyuandan was much higher than that Yaogadan. Chun Xiang also looked at Fang Heng's Qiyuandan. It was white. He felt that he was about to succeed too. He could already gather all of them, but he did not know what went wrong. Chun Xiang only had a portion of medicinal ingredients left, and seeing that he was still thinking, everyone started to urge him. Hurry up and start, or you can just admit defeat and dilly-dally. A pointless struggle. Can't do it? It's normal that you can't do it. No one will laugh at you. It's not a bad thing for young people to fall down a lot. Chun Xiang suddenly said, I can refine 10 Yaogadan in 1 furnace, but Fire Reverend School Leader cannot. So what he can't do, it's not necessarily something I can't do either. Chun Xiang's words made him speechless. He was right, because it was not luck but strength that allowed him to concoct 10 Yaogadan in one go. He definitely had a very unique pill refining technique, which was why he was able to reach such shocking levels. Yu Yan said, Fang Heng being able to refine Qiyuandan is not that amazing. Even the Fang family knows how to refine. They can't possibly just say that he has good pill refining skills, right? Even the Fire Reverend School Leader could not refine Qiyuandan. Could it be that Fang Heng was stronger than the Fire Reverend School Leader? Fang Heng only did so because he possessed the special power of the Fang family. But my younger brother Shin is different because he succeeded under very fair conditions, not like Fang Heng, who relied on his own special kind of god power, and he has also refined Qiyuandan for many years. Now that he has refined too, he is full of pride. I really can't see what's so special about him. His ability is just that. Fang Heng was so angry that his face was flushed red. He was, after all, a small celebrity, yet he was belittled in front of so many people. Furthermore, he did not know how to refute, as it was equivalent to slapping his face. What is it? Are you unconvinced? Even if younger brother Shin loses, it's just because he was tricked by you and your father. Although you guys won, other than obtaining the 100 million jade money, are you guys trying to touch your own conscience and ask yourself, did you win in terms of glory? Right, you all should have no conscience, right? Many people immediately cheered for Yu Yan's words. After all, the Fang family's father and son were intentionally scammed by Chun Xiang. And at this moment, even the Fang family's father and son did not say anything. If my younger brother Shin knew how to use your strange Dao powers, this Qiyuandan would definitely be able to refine 4 pills. Yu Yan said again he was cheering for Xianxia, but at the same time, it was because he was feeling displeased when he saw how pleased Fang Heng was with himself. Xianxia suddenly laughed. No, I think I can at least refine 5 pills. Fang Heng snorted. Then you must at least refine one. Our Fang family's ancestors can only refine 3 pills at most, and not a single one of them can be refined by the Fang family. What is it? Shall we add some stakes now? Xianxia laughed. If he was a person who was familiar with Xianxia, he would have rejected him immediately. All those years ago, Xianxia had tricked many people. It was just that no one here knew that Xianxia had once used such underhanded methods on the dead, and that this was one of his most common moves. Do you really think you can refine it? You've failed twice. Before Fang Heng could finish, Xianxia interrupted him and said, with the 200 million jade money, do you dare? Fang Heng looked at Fang Daiqi, and this was decided by his father, who also hesitated for a moment before saying, all right, let's go. I want to see how you refine 5 Qiyuan danes. If you can really refine it, then I will spend money to broaden my horizons. Xianxia smiled faintly. With so many people watching here, I'm not afraid that you will go back on your words. Adu 123 right now. Xianxia was full of confidence. He had already found 2 mistakes. The first one was that he had used too many counterpower. Everyone took a deep breath. They could not see what Xianxia was doing, and actually raised the stakes. No matter how they looked at it, it did not seem like he had the upper hand. At the same time that Chu Hongqing was shocked, she was also thinking. She knew that Xianxia would never do something so foolish. It was just like how she lost to Xianxia previously. At that time, Xianxia looked like a fool to many people, but later on, Xianxia used his own strength to prove that they were the fools. Previously, when he observed Fang Heng refining the pellets, Fang Heng's counterpower was extremely dim, which meant that he did not use it much. However, he had used up a lot of it himself. He continued to pour the medicinal essences into the 3 clumps, causing them to create a strong suction force during the instant of fusion. It was as if the 3 clumps of medicinal essences were clashing against each other. The second point was that the timing of placing the savage beast meat inside was wrong. According to the pill formula, only when a savage beast meat was condensed can it be placed inside. Of course, the recipe required Daoyuan immortal power when concocting a pill. He did not have a Daoyuan immortal power, so he could only use the flesh of a savage beast to replace it. Due to the 3 lumps of medicinal liquid being unable to fuse with him, he had added the flesh of the savage beast earlier. That was why the instant the 3 lumps of medicinal liquid possessing great Daoyuan immortal power collided with each other during the fusion, a violent explosion occurred, catching him off guard. After Xianxia found a place to concoct the pill, he was able to avoid it, and now he was going to concoct it again. Fang Heng had already finished refining the pill. He stood beside his father and looked at Xianxia together. Although they looked extremely confident, they were secretly worried in their hearts. Just now, Xianxia suddenly raised the bet by 100 million. There must be some reason why he was so confident. At this moment, Xianxia was also secretly on guard against this pair of father and son. Previously, when he was competing with Lan Taotian to refine Yaogadan, Fang Heng had secretly disturbed him, so he was extremely wary of Fang Heng. Very quickly, he refined the 3 types of medicinal herbs into a medicinal liquid. He released a very weak trace of counterpower, and then, he controlled this sliver of counterpower to pierce through the 3 medicinal liquids like a rope. The moment it passed through, the 3 clumps of medicinal liquid automatically fused together. The fusion speed was relatively slow, and wasn't as sudden as before. This was closely related to the degree of using the counterpower, proving Xianxia's speculation. Not long after, the 3 blobs of medicinal liquid successfully fused together, turning into a ball of white medicinal liquid. By now, it was about time to form a pill. It's going rather well. Don't make any more mistakes. Xianxia took out the lightning dragon eagle's meat and placed a lot of it inside, because he wanted to condense 5 pills. The process of him refining the flesh of the savage beast into a Daoyuan immortal power, and then controlling that strand of Daoyuan immortal power to merge it with the medicinal liquid was extremely smooth. Seeing Xianxia's steady progress, Fang Heng and his father became even more worried. If they lost, they would need to give Xianxia 200 million jade money. Although Fang Daiqi was a high-ranking member of the Fang family, it was still very difficult for him to take out 200 million jade money. He could only take them from the entire Fang family's native bank. Fang Daiqi suddenly sent a sound transmission to Fang Heng, telling him to disrupt Chen Xiang's rhythm. As long as Chen Xiang failed this round, they could win. Chen Xiang wanted to split the medicinal liquid into 5 parts, but suddenly felt a weak force approaching him. He immediately released a spatial barrier that covered the entire pill furnace. This bastard. He really did it. Humph. No matter what happens, you will lose for sure. Chen Xiang was secretly angered in his heart. If not for the current situation, based on his temper, he would have ignored the consequences and fiercely beaten Fang Heng up first. After Fang Heng tried a few times, but he didn't know why the energy he released couldn't enter Chen Xiang's pill furnace. He slightly frowned, then sent a sound transmission to his father, asking him to make a move. Chen Xiang immediately sent a sound transmission to Chu Hongqing. That bastard wants to disturb me again. It was that son of mine who did it, and he did not succeed. The next step is for his father to take action. Go and distract them. Was not surprised at all when she found out that Fang Heng had disturbed her ability in concocting pills. He had told her about it before, and Fang Heng was not a good person either. Chu Hongqing immediately walked over to the father and son pair and laughed. If you father and son lose, will the Fang family be willing to offer these 200 million jade money? What if the Fang family doesn't come? Can you father and son afford it? Fang Daiqi was about to attack, but Chu Hongqing suddenly blocked in front of him. And at the same time, Chen Xiang split the medicinal liquid into 5 groups and started to condense the pill. You don't have to worry about that. The credibility of our Fang family is known to the entire Fire Tao divine place. Fang Daiqi said. Is that so? Although I know the Fang family's reputation, I'm a bit worried because your Fang family has never encountered such a thing. Chu Hongqing laughed. Fang Daiqi was a little angry. You guys can talk after you win. Chu Hongqing chuckled. We will win very soon. I am only here to inform you all to prepare. Chen Xiang was already at the core formation stage, and it would be completed very soon. So Chu Hongqing had returned to Yu Yan's side. Fang Daiqi and Fang Heng were currently trembling in fear, because Chen Xiang had been so calm for so long, which made them feel extremely uneasy. After a while, Chen Xiang opened his eyes and exhaled. I succeeded. This Qiyuan Dan is only so. You. Just as Fang Heng wanted to say something, Chen Xiang suddenly opened the pill furnace, and then controlled the 5 snow-white Qiyuan Dan to float within the furnace. These Qiyuan Dan were shining with a layer of white light, because the quality had already reached the peak. The quality of the Qiyuan Dan he refined was much better than Fang Heng's. Fang Heng and Fang Daiqi, the father and son pair, were both stupefied. Their faces were filled with disbelief as all sorts of complicated emotions surged in their hearts. Anger, jealousy, fear, and unwillingness. The great hall was extremely quiet, as they stared at the 5 Qiyuan Dan floating above Chen Xiang's pill furnace with stupefied expressions. The legend of only the Fang family being able to refine Qiyuan Dan was broken. Furthermore, the Fang family could only refine 3 pellets at most, but Chen Xiang could actually refine 5. The quiet great hall was broken by Yu Yan's loud laughter. Did you see that? Younger brother Shin succeeded. The Qiyuan Dan is not only something that your Fang family can refine, the younger brother Shin can also successfully refine it, and it will be much better than what you can refine. LV Ying took in a deep breath and walked over, then looked at the Qiyuan Dan up close. Chu Hongqing knew that Chen Xiang could succeed, but she still felt very surprised. But she quickly adapted to it. She smiled and said, You have lost 200 million jade money. Quickly take it out. Fang Daiqi looked at the crowd. He knew that if he reneged on the debt, it would definitely affect the Fang family's reputation, and he didn't have that many jade money in his hands. I'll have someone send it over right away, Fang Daiqi said in a heavy voice. He had already thought of a way to convince the Fang family, and he himself would have to sacrifice a lot of things in order to obtain these 200 million jade money. Fong Daichi took out the communication jade symbol paper and passed the news back to the Fong family. For him to be so sure that the Fong family would deliver this information, it must be because of some exchange, since he also had a high position in the family. After the Fong family found out about this, the entire Fong family was shocked. The Heavenly Tao auction held by the Fire Reverence School had already gathered many powers, so it was spread very quickly. Basically, the big families of the Fire Tao Divine Place knew about it, and while they were shocked, they also took pleasure in it. Although these families had a good relationship on the surface, there were quite a few conflicts in the dark. This competition caused Chen Xiang's reputation to once again reach a new height. Chen Xiang had long since gotten used to it, but what made him excited was that he had obtained the Qiyuan Dan's pill formula. In the future, he would be able to refine these Qiyuan Dan and earn a large amount of jade money. Right now, Chen Xiang also did not know what to do with the 200 million jade money. Very quickly, an old man walked in and handed Fong Daichi a storage bag. Although he did not say anything, he must have talked to Fong Daichi secretly. Fong Daichi took out 20 jade plates from the storage bag and said, "Although these are not jade money, but you can exchange for jade money from the 3 great native banks of Fire Tao Divine Place." Chen Xiang took the jade plates and looked at them. These were all specially made jade plates and were hard to copy. One was worth 10 million jade money and the other 20 were worth 200 million. "It's true." Chu Hongqing took it and looked at it and said, "Hongqing, when you have time, take it out and trade it with the native bank." Chen Xiang said. Then he handed over all the jade slips in his hands to Chu Hongqing. By giving the jade money to his servant so casually, it could be seen how good of a relationship Chen Xiang had with Chu Hongqing, but thinking about it, it was pretty normal. After all, they only had the master-servant contract, so Chu Hongqing did not dare to betray Chen Xiang. Fong Daichi had calmed down as well. What made him puzzled was how Chen Xiang was able to refine Qiyuan Dan, and even 5 of them. The most important thing about Qiyuan Dan was their Fong family's mysterious Tao divine powers. Only by cultivating their Fong family's special techniques could they condense them. Fong Daichi couldn't understand, so he could only find out by asking. "You haven't reached the Tao Yuan realm, and don't have it, but you can use the flesh of a savage beast instead. However, you can't use the mysterious Tao's divine power, so how did you do it?" Fong Daichi asked. Right now, he had more than just losing 200 million jade money. If he really lost these jade money, he wouldn't have to worry about it. However, he allowed the Fong family's Qiyuan Dan's pill formula, which they had earned so many years, to leak out, and this was what he was more worried about. If the Fong family's elders were to blame him, he would definitely receive a heavy punishment. "I don't know, I just used my alchemy skills to solve the problem." Chen Xiang smiled faintly. He guessed that the Fong family's grasp of the counterpower was not very high. It was only a little bit. In terms of refining pills, that was enough. He had devoured many counterpowers so he could cultivate on his own. His body had also merged with the counterpower, and if he needed, he could transform the 6 realms power into a counterpower. Seeing Chen Xiang being so proud, Fong Heng felt upset. Especially when he remembered that Chen Xiang not only had a delicate Chu Hongqing by his side, but he had also won over 200 million of their jade money and even obtained the Qiyuan Dan medicinal formula. He was so angry that he wanted to spurt blood. "Don't be happy too early. Be careful," Fong Heng said in a low voice. "What? I defeated your jade money, but you all still want to take revenge on me? Is that what the number 1 Tao family in Fire Tao Divine Place is like?" Chen Xiang sneered. "Humph. I told you to be careful and not sell your Qiyuan Dan without permission, or else you will have to bear the consequences." Fong Heng wanted to say more, but was pulled out of the shop by Fong Daichi. Qiyuan Dan was a pill that allowed the Fong family to earn many jade money over the years. The reason the Fong family was able to become the number 1 family in Fire Tao Divine Place was all because of this Qiyuan Dan. The Qiyuan Dan was only known to be refined by the Fong family, and although their uses were great and their prices were expensive, there were still many people who bought them. Currently, there were already people who could refine them, and if the price was lowered, it would definitely affect the Fong family's Qiyuan Dan sales. "What's going on with the Fong family? Didn't that guy say it himself? I can sell Qiyuan Dan." Chen Xiang shook his head and laughed. "Lad, If you really touch their interests, they will kill you even if they don't want your reputation. Yu Yan's face became gloomy. Be careful. I will. Chen Xiang nodded, and then walked upstairs with Chu Hongqing. Although Chen Xiang did not refine pills for him, but because Chen Xiang was here, LV Ying's shop was extremely lively. This period of time was the best period of time for him to open the shop. Chen Xiang sat on a chair and looked at the Qiyuan Dan in his hands while grinning. Hongqing, how many low-grade heaven-stage Qiyuan Danes are there? What about 1,000 jade money? It's quite expensive. It's the most expensive low-grade heaven-ranked pill. Chu Hongqing said, You aren't thinking of selling the Qiyuan Dan in bulk, are you? 1,000 jade money was indeed very expensive. Chen Xiang remembered that the difference between the two was huge for a Yaoga Dan of only 80. I don't have any plans yet. Let me use those 200 million jade money for a long time. Chen Xiang laughed. Hongqing, eat one and see how my Qiyuan Dan will compare to the Fong families. You can tell that it's much better than the Fong family just by looking at it. If you want to sell it, you don't have to lower the price. It's even more popular than the Fong families. Chu Hongqing said, and she ate one as well. As expected, it's much better. Usually, it's better to only eat the first 3 stages of Dao Yuan realm. Chu Hongqing licked her lips, looking very charming. Chen Xiang said, Bring the jade money out. I'm worried that there might be some problems inside. Chu Hongqing said, You don't have to worry about that. The 3 great native banks are all very trustworthy. And if you put them in there, you will receive very good treatment when you go to the native bank. Chen Xiang nodded his head. I will listen to you, Hongqing. I can now participate in the Heavenly Dao auction. Yu Yan had mentioned it to him before. Sure. Leader said he won't make things difficult for you. You don't have to worry. With me here, he won't do anything to you. Chu Hongqing laughed. Oh yes. How did you refine a Qiyuan Dan? You are truly too amazing. Back then, Leader had closed up many times just to refine this Qiyuan Dan, but he was unable to. You are truly a strange person. You can always do things that others cannot, and you can even do them very easily. Chen Xiang trusted Chu Hongqing a lot, not only because he had his own master-servant contract, but also because of the feeling he had with Chu Hongqing. Therefore, he had decided to give Chu Hongqing a little gift as well. Hongqing, you must have refined Qiyuan Dan many times. Chen Xiang asked. Seeing Chu Hongqing nod his head, he asked again, Are they all stuck at the stage where the 3 medicinal liquids are unable to fuse together? That's right. It's not just me. All of the other alchemists in the Fong family are unable to progress at this stage. The Fong family also told us that we need the Fong family's Dao spiritual force to reach that stage. Chu Hongqing said, Leader has tried all kinds of methods, but to no avail. Chen Xiang laughed. I coincidentally have the Fong family's so-called mysterious god force. That kind of power is indeed strange, and being called the mysterious god force is not an exaggeration. Back then, it was by chance that I obtained it. Chu Hongqing said in shock. So that's how it is. No wonder you succeeded. I thought it was because you used your powerful pill refining skills. Chen Xiang chuckled, took out a transparent pearl and poured it inside the counter power. The pearl slowly turned red. If you leave the pearl, it will become transparent. If you fuse the blood with this pearl, even if that power leaves the pearl, you will be able to sense it, and you will also be able to control it. You only need to draw a little of it each time, and it will be enough for you to use the 3 globes of medicinal liquid. Chen Xiang handed the pearl over to Chu Hongqing. Can I really refine it too? Chu Hongqing was ecstatic, and quickly took it. She was also an alchemist. If she could concoct a pill that she had not been able to concoct for many years, she would feel a sense of accomplishment. Sometimes, the alchemist did not refine pills for the sake of eating, but for the joy of producing pills, especially those that were extremely difficult to refine. Right. Do you have any Qiyuan Dan's medicinal ingredients? Chen Xiang asked. In the past, the Fong family gave us quite a bit of money, but we've lost it all in these past few years, and the Fong family didn't give it back either. Now, if I go and ask them for it, they definitely won't give it back, and it seems like only the Fong family can grow those herbs. In the past, the Fong family gave us quite a bit of money, but we've lost all our money in these past years, and the Fong family hasn't given it back. Chu Hongqing said. You don't have to worry about that. I have a way. Xianxia had already anticipated this problem, so he had pretended to fail before and moved the Qiuandan's ingredients away. The total life-killing divine deity of Xianxia's first and second divine sense were about 200, and the purple pearls he condensed out also had a very strong replicating ability. He only used 10 life and death pearl to make a copy of the medicinal ingredients, and because there were 6 realms God Cups present, he discovered that if he placed the purple pearls inside the 6 realms God Cup for a period of time, the replicative ability would increase even more. Here, go and have a try. Xianxia quickly copied a portion of it from the ring and gave it to Chu Hongqing. Where did you come from? The moment Chu Hongqing asked that question, he immediately thought of the first time Xianxia detonated a furnace, and knew that it was Xianxia who had moved it away at that time. Chu Hongqing received the medicinal ingredients and smiled coquettishly. No matter how I look at it, you don't look like an inexperienced brat from the depths of the mountains. You look like a cunning fox. Xianxia laughed and pinched Chu Hongqing's jade face. You can finally see it, you're still young in my eyes, little girl. From the moment the Fong family's father and son were cheated so badly by Xianxia, Chu Hongqing could already tell. I'm going to refine some pills. Chu Hongqing ran into the secret room. Xianxia looked at the Qiuandan and said, Are the Qiuandan useless against the Dao Ti realm? I'm now at the first level of the Dao body. He did not know a thing about cultivation in the heavenly Dao realm. When Chu Hongqing came out, he would ask him for some advice. More than 2 hours later, Chu Hongqing came out. Looking at her expression, one could tell that she had succeeded in refining it. She had refined it many times before, but all of them were stuck in one place. Now that she had passed that step, it was normal for her to succeed in one furnace. Success? Xianxia asked with a smile. Yes. It's just that I only managed to refine 2 pills. Chu Hongqing passed Xianxia to Qiuandanis. There's a difference in quality. Of course, you're my servant girl. It's normal for there to be a gap between us. Xianxia laughed. The heavenly law auction is about to begin. When the time comes, I will inform you to come, and if you go, it will only be to compete with those guys in refining pills. But I heard that the leader will especially change the rules for you. I am not very clear on the specifics. Although this guy said that he won't make things difficult for you, but in his heart, he is still very unhappy with you. Chu Hongqing said, and poured Xianxia a cup of tea. There's nothing to be afraid of. Xianxia laughed. As long as you promise me that you won't kill me. Of course, I will die even if you die. Chu Hongqing laughed. Hongqing, I'm already at the first stage of the Dao body realm. What do I need to do next? I don't know much about this. Xianxia said. Chu Hongqing was a little surprised. She thought Xianxia was very good at cultivation, but didn't expect him to actually ask her. When I'm cultivating, it's basically the same as before. Cultivating 2 divine sense CS with a powerful fleshly body is basic. Other than this, the more difficult part is comprehending natural law principles. Chu Hongqing said, then opened up her jade palm, and 10 strange lines gradually appeared on her palm. If you gain enlightenment on a Dao mark, you will be able to obtain even more powerful Dao force, which is heavenly God's divine power. The owner has to use the divine sense sea world to comprehend it for himself, which is when you step into the Dao Ti realm. Chu Hongqing said, stepping into the heavenly Dao realm. The use of cultivation techniques only increases the strength of one's physical body and powerful divine senses. Their physical bodies and divine sense are strong enough, so comprehending Dao marks would be easier. Xianxia held Chu Hongqing's jade hand. Looking at the 10 lines of marks on top that resembled spirit grain S, they indeed carried a certain charm within, and was naturally formed. What kind of law is this Dao mark? Xianxia asked. These are all Dao marks of fire. When you use one Dao mark in battle, you will be able to release a very strong flame energy. If you combine the 2, the power will be different, and you will also be able to use different combinations of Dao marks to release different flame energy. Chu Hongqing said, my main task is to refine pills, so I have to go and comprehend the Dao mark of fire. You should also do the same. Probably. This was also the first time Xianxia had seen this mark, and he felt that it was very mystical. Right now, he was not sure of the direction of his mark, because he would need to use spatial energy frequently.